shout out to Kevin Summers, rest in power, brother. Rest in power. I remember back in the mid 2000s, and when I got on YouTube, I got on YouTube around damn near the mid 2000s, like around that time, 2007, not even the mid 2000s, but early 2000s, when YouTube really just kicked off, when social media really just kicked off then. And when I got on, I haven't noticed the attitude that a lot of black women have. I did, but I didn't know it was just all that bad, And then I heard, I started seeing all these women like Cynthia G and a lot of them on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. So for a while, you had Tommy Sotomayor, and I don't see why everybody want to be trying to dish on Tommy Sotomayor, because in a lot of ways, Tommy was telling the truth. I don't give a fuck. Yes, you have some of your disagreements with Tommy, but Tommy was telling the truth on a lot of issues as well. And a lot of Negroes, even to this day, they cannot argue with the shit that he was saying, because the shit that he was saying was basically the truth. Whether you like it or not. So then they try to chalk Tommy up into a self-hating black man, which really wasn't a self-hating black man, to be honest. But you had some of those that just didn't like Tommy because his position on black women. And some of the stuff he said about the black community. Which is, now you got people like Charles and White, Anton. A lot of people say the shit about the fucked up black community without understanding the dynamic on how it got like that. Like it's somehow black people just got like that out the fold. When there's a lot of reasons for that black community, for it being the way it is. It's not out the fold. Like Sean Fully P. Talked about white people are the gremlins that black people are the gremlins that white people created due to all the systematic shit that they have done and try not to claim that they have done, and then try to walk away from it. Like somehow they're responsible for the direction of the black community when they played a major part in all the shit that they have done to destroy the black community. Like destroy the family, the black family, using the feminist movement, using a lot of redlining, gerrymandering. Then you bring in the welfare state and shit like that. You bring all these entities into the black community to destroy the black community. And one thing they did was take the black man out the home. So once you take the black man out the home, you take jobs and opportunities from that man. And then on top of that, you tell the black woman she don't need no man. You start giving like welfare, food stamps, all these subsidies to black women, and then you don't give nothing to black men. What the fuck you gonna get? You gonna get a fucking deprived and starved community, because the women don't build shit. It's the men that build. It's the men that build the community. So right after Jim Crow, right during Jim Crow, right after slavery, you had Reconstruction. You had skilled black men that were masons, that were carpenters, that were a lot of skilled men. Then you had skilled men that were skilled at plumbing, skilled at basically a lot of what you would consider blue collar work today. What you would consider those jobs, those skilled labor jobs that now you gotta have a license to do. Which that was all created by white folks because they seen right after slavery you had way more skilled black people than white people at these jobs. This is what, and not only that, your first HBCUs were basically like technical schools. A lot of motherfuckers don't know that your blue collar school, your HBCUs was like, your technical schools where they were teaching black men and women skills, certain skills and shit, not just education, but they were teaching them technical skills so they could go out and build their community. So at this time, white society seen you had all these skilled black people running around here that had skills, building their thriving communities and shit, building all these thriving communities from Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Elaine, Arkansas, Slocum, Texas, you had Rosewood, Florida, you had what's that town? You had Omaha town in Omaha, Nebraska. You had Wilmington, North Carolina. Had a town outside of Wilmington, North Carolina. You had East St. Louis. All these thriving black towns that were doing well economically and financially for black people were built primarily by blue-collar black men. And then after that, then you had your bank institutions because we didn't have loans and shit. We just built our own towns. They told us we don't want y'all in our town. So black people built their own towns, their own businesses. And those who were educated enough, who knew about banks and all that shit, created banks. So our towns became thriving. Matter of fact, too thriving during the beginning of the Depression. You had black towns that were way far more wealthier and successful than the white towns, and that became a problem to the white proletariat and the white elites, because the white elites seen all these successful black people that came from nothing, that came from slavery, building whole thriving black communities. And that was a problem because you had the proletarian white people who they employed that they weren't paying. So you got these black upstart towns that are people that just came out of slavery doing better than you. You see what I'm saying? So you had that dynamic going on, and a lot of, and see, this is another thing too. They don't never tell you about all those thriving black communities out west where the white folks was pushing out there in Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. You had whole black thriving communities when white people was traveling out there in Indian territory. Yes, you had black thriving communities in Wyoming, Montana, where the Europeans started pushing out west. They've seen these thriving black communities in Indian territory living in peace and harmony with the Native Americans. You had Native Americans living in them towns with the black, a lot of them intermarried. Yes, they ain't gonna tell y'all this shit because white folks like to hide, like to cover shit up. They like to cover shit up because they don't want you to know you had black towns in Wyoming. What you think that movie Posse was about with Mario Van Peebles in it? You all ever see that movie called Posse? with Mario Van Peebles. Get that movie. Look at that movie. So you had all these thriving black communities then, all over the place. Black people doing well, being successful. But then you had this going on. Now, what they gonna make you try to look like black people ain't never did shit, ain't never built shit. We always was dependent on the system. That's a goddamn lie. That's a goddamn lie that white folks made up. When the actuality is they depended more on the system than we did. They were getting way more privileges than we did. They used, like you heard Charlie Kirk and a lot of these white nationalists and white supremacists talking about DEI and affirmative action, only to find out that white women benefited from most of that shit more so than black women did. Even though black women did too, but black men, we didn't depend on that shit because we always had to get it out the mud. We didn't have white privileges like white males and white women did. Or even what black women did. We literally had to get the shit out the mud. So when white males come talking that bullshit about, oh, you black people got DEI, now motherfucker, your woman had that and depended on it more so than black men did. You black men have white male privileges. That's why Vicar Swami, that Indian dude, said he didn't want to say it, but he knew who he was talking about. And white people knew, white males did too, when he said the mediocrity that white males mired in, wallowed in, while Asians and Southeast Asians and Southwest Asians, East Asians came over here dominating the tech field, leaving white males out of jobs because they couldn't compete. So they would put in, white males had manager positions over Asian people. Most of your management position in these tech fields had a white man at the top, but had mostly all Indian and Asian men working in it. Like Indian, same thing, synonymous with Asian, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But in these tech fields, they were dominated by Indians and Korean descended people and Chinese descended people. White males felt a certain kind of way about that, even though they used the model minority myth with these Asians. The only reason why they use these Asian and other groups as to say to show the black people, see how these other people come over here and do well, and you complaining, not knowing that black people been systematically kept from doing shit for a long time, because those same Koreans and Asian people, you gave them loans and shit to open up businesses in the black community, while you redlined us for even making any businesses because you didn't want to have no more black Wall Streets, had black people you had to compete with. Like I said, white men hate to compete. They have a problem with competing with other people. This is why they are dominant dominating shit on the planet. It ain't because somehow they intrinsically better than everybody else. No, motherfuckers got there by cutthroat murder, colonizing people, enslaving people, taking their land, eradicating people. White men didn't get there just because they somehow way more intelligent than everybody else. It's a lot of shit they have done to get there. And now that they got there, the white elites don't want to share none of their wealth they got to the proletarian white people, white males and proletarian white people. So now these they got to lie and create this whole idea that it's because of the so-called Negro breeding up all y'all white air is the reason why y'all ain't going well. It's because of all the crime in the black community that's going on due to our systematic oppression, putting in drugs, putting in guns in the black community by the CIA since the motherfucking the late 60s to destroy black organizations like the Black Panthers and the Civil Rights Movement and the pro-black movement. They wanted to destroy all those movements because they were counterproductive and they were being seen globally around the world, making America look bad. So they didn't like all this shit that was going on. They didn't like it. So what they had to do was they had to destroy all these organizations, redline black people, find group of people, use the 17th and 16th Amendment when the black people signed up to let other Africans come over and people from the Caribbean, which you always had people from the Caribbean coming over, but they didn't come in large numbers. They didn't come in large numbers like they did after they signed the 16th and 17th Amendment in. But they didn't come over like that. So they brought all of them over and said, shit, we can deprive black people of this and that. And then meantime, we'll put all the Africans and other immigrants above black people and make it look as though black people ain't doing shit, that black people just been lazy and ain't doing shit because black people know this white man, we know how white supremacy works and everybody else don't. So they bring all these other immigrants in and say, see how these immigrants doing well? Why you black people can't do that? You white people know goddamn well the system y'all created against us, and y'all bring the immigrants in, and they sit up there and the State Department tell them, oh, don't mess with the black Americans. They lazy, they criminals and stuff. Yes, you had Africans and other immigrants tell me this shit. Now Donald Trump doing all this shit was fucked up. Donald Trump just knocked over the apple cart. That's why I'm glad Donald Trump in. Not for the reasons y'all think he is, but now all these white supremacists coming out in mass. You got white people coming out showing their true colors. They out there. Now, am I saying all white people bad? No. I'm just saying these white supremacist people that always had this white supremacist view, but they was now they saying now we tired of black fatigue. Now. So now you got niggas, buck dancing, bootlicking niggas like Anton, Angry Man, all them niggas who basically was doing the same shit that Tommy was doing. Now they doing the same motherfucking, they doing the same reaching like Tommy did, but now it's a little bit too late. On that shit. And then they don't want to explain the reason why Anton and none of them just think the black community is like that out the void, like it wasn't no systematic things put in place to create that black community like that. That's why I go ham on Charles and White and niggas like them, because they act like the black community just got like that. Then they want to blame, say, why God got the black people, why God let the black people be. Ain't no goddamn magical gods got shit to do with your systematic oppression. Ain't no goddamn God. Don't sit up and say why black people gotta be doing that. Ain't no goddamn God got shit to do with that. That's just systematic shit put in place to keep you in that situation. Don't got nothing to do with no magical gods and all that kind of shit. Shout out to Swords Willie Pete on that one. Don't got nothing to do with that. I hate when they use, God black people somehow cursed because we the real Israelites, and that's why because we got to get back. How the fuck you gonna get back when they systematic keeping you from doing shit? You just had Edward Blown back, right back after COVID came, after we got out of quarantine. Edward Bloom, and he did this shit. It was basically a strategic move that Edward Bloom did. They put in the anti-Asian crime bill, even though they said, even though you had more white people attacking Asian people due to the fact that they were using the Wuhan virus, they used black people. The small attacks on Asians by black homeless people as the reason why the Asians had got the crime bill. Even though majority of Asians got their businesses in the black community, if they were so goddamn afraid of motherfucking black people, why they still kept their businesses in the black community then? You had Korean men beating the shit out of black women and shit, but ain't nobody never talking about that shit. But yet, they had to sign a protect Asian crime bill. Then on top of that, the Asians used, the white folks, Edward Bloom used Asians to get rid of affirmative action and DEI. Now these Asians claiming that they can't even get in a lot of the Ivy League colleges. And Edward Bloom used their ass to push that shit in because they got tired of white people the mediocre ass white people couldn't compete with the Asians and the Indians and Koreans in the tech field. Because they were using them as the minority, and now they was in the tech field heavily, and that left white males out. So they felt a certain kind of way about it. And then Edward Bloom said what he said, talking about basically telling white people that they got to take personal accountability for their what you call their mediocrity. White people got mad at the motherfucker and Vicar Swami. You should have seen all them motherfucking white folks talking about Indians, go back to India, go back here and there, why you over here in America. All the racist, white supremacists talking points the white people said about black people, now they're attacking. Now the Indians call the Indians call white people out on their shit because they have white male privilege. They got jobs just because they was white. Not that they were really intelligent, but just because they were white. They put over, in the tech field, they put over whole departments of Koreans and Indian people as the leadership, but you say get all their information from the Indians and Koreans in the tech field. Then leave all the black people that was the fundamental of building motherfucking Silicon Valley. Yes, you had black people that was very important in building the internet, building AI. They leave out. Just like they left black people out a lot of inventions and shit that we have done that made this country great. But they gloss over it, say, oh, black people ain't never done shit. You got CK running around here talking about DEI and black people, and we ain't even benefited. That white woman he was with did. Talking all this bullshit. But I digress.